This brief presentation explains a few of the elements of literature. The first element of literature that I'm going to discuss is the element of character. There are varieties of characters that come up in the stories that we read, and this variety adds depth to the stories. Character can be revealed in one of many different ways. One of the most interesting ways to learn about a character is through the dialogue. As we read a character's words that they speak and how they interact with other characters, we can learn something about their reactions and their responses and what they value and how they behave. Sometimes the narrator will give us a description, and sometimes that can include judgments about the character. And then sometimes we're simply given a physical description. Maybe that tells us what the character looks like, how they act, how they conduct themselves. And the development of character occurs as a character faces conflict in the story. So as a character faces a problem and they have to make a decision, we learn something about what motivates them. And the basis of decisions can be morals, emotions, loyalty, passion, and then sometimes it can be their weaknesses. In literature, we look for growth in a character, and we look for change over time. And that's one of the foundational elements of really good literature, is to see how characters can grow and change. And the next element we're going to look at is setting. Setting is the place or conditions under which a story takes place. And some conditions are specific to one story, to a particular place and time. For example, if we think about Mark Twain's story about Huckleberry Finn, we know that Huck Finn and Jim had a kind of relationship that was particular to the antebellum United States. We really can't imagine Huck Finn and Jim having a relationship like the one they had now in contemporary America. Those circumstances just wouldn't exist for them. Also, if we read literature that might come from another culture, say we wanted to read The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, for most Americans, the story would not be completely accessible because there would be some things about Chinese families that we wouldn't necessarily know. And so in that case, the narrator has to provide us some explanation of the setting. Finally, we're going to look at plot. And plot is made up of the events that occur in the story. Sometimes plots are caused by characters and the choices that they make. And sometimes plot events just simply happen. Plot is driven by conflict, and to understand this, think about the problems that characters have to face as they go through a story. Maybe one of the most gripping recent examples would be The Hunger Games. We can easily think about events in the plot that occur as children are gathered together and their names are drawn and they're sent off to the Capitol to compete with each other to the death in order to win food for the people in their district. That story is definitely propelled forward by every single development that occurs. The thing that's really important about plot is it's very hard to understand the other elements that take place in literature if we don't understand the plot. If we don't understand the events that are happening and how they cause problems for the characters, we won't really understand the decisions that the characters are making, and their characters won't be completely revealed to us. So these are only three of the many elements of literature, but these are three of the most important.